Finance Minister Nene says he's sorry for not being entirely honest about his liaisons with the Guptas. And government, business and labour have talked the talk. Can they walk the walk and provide jobs? The Politburo is now in session. I'm Nicholas Bauer, once again connecting the dots for you on this Sunday. We want you to contribute to the discussions we have on this show, so please send us your WhatsApp video comments throughout the week to the number 082-884-6370. In the Politburo today, can the Jobs Summit move from talk into action and deliver jobs and not words to the South African people?
Take his apology until he resigns and steps down, because we cannot have a person taking care of the money of South Africa who lies to the people of South Africa.
I think what we set out to do and to achieve as a summit has been achieved. Now what remains is that we must go and do the work.
Earlier this week, Nene appeared before the State Capture Commission to discuss his involvement with allegations of state capture. Nene did mention throughout his testimony that he did not have any close relationship with the Guptas, nor did he take any instructions from them either. And see whether or not we have any testimony from Nene during that testimony at the State Capture this week. To discuss the road the inquiry will take from this week onwards, we are joined in our Durban studios by Xolani Dube, a political analyst from the Xubera Institute. Do we have him on the line now? Good morning, and thank you for giving up some of your Sunday to us, Mr. Dube. What do you make of Nene's testimony before the State Capture Commission?
Morning. I think Nene has disappointed a number of South Africans, and especially those who were really believing him as a saint of the South African politics. I think, even now, people, it's so unbelievable that he can let the South Africans to become so despondent and so confused about his character and about his behavior. And surely a number of South Africans are asking themselves who to trust from now on.
So break this down for us then. Nene says that initially he did not have any relationship with the Guptas. He said that on this platform, ENCA. However, it was during testimony at the State Capture Commission and also via a statement at the end of the week, he apologized for not being entirely honest. I mean, should he be lauded for eventually coming clean, or do we need to drag him over the coals for the fact that he simply wasn't honest from the get-go?
Look, I think the interview that he conducted with Goke, one of your colleagues here on ENCA, it was kind of a PR exercise, and that really went wrong, because you can see that PR exercise is sinking him now. And two, I think the only thing that you have to do, or that the president needs to do now, because Nhlanhla confessed and he even wrote an apology letter to the South Africans, an open letter. I think there is only way, or there is only honorable thing that is left of him now, is just to spare the president with so much hardship, but just to, maybe even this afternoon or even tomorrow morning, just to put his resignation and let our country proceed and see how do we navigate through these troubled waters that he also created for us as South Africans.
Well, look, Julius Malema tweeted this morning saying they may well have to take to the streets, the economic freedom fighters that is, to ensure that he is removed from office. Let's be honest, though, there's not a culture of once you've owned up to your political misdeeds or your deeds while in public office. Name one politician of any substance in the past, say, 24 months or even longer that's actually fallen on their sword.
Look, we have the honorable, inverted commas, Dr. inverted commas, Paulo Jordan, after it was caught that he's not a recipient of a PhD, and he decided just to quit and leave the political scene. And is a classical example of what we mean by a politician that got consciousness, a politician that accepts the responsibility of misleading the public. And so I think Nene can use the act of Paulo Jordan to do the same, rather than for him to be pushed by the president, unless if he is so incorruptible, I mean, he's so corruptible to an extent that he is so stubborn to accept his own fault.
So, Mr. Dube, for every Paulo Jordan, there's an Mduduzi Manana and a Batabile Dlamini. I believe that there's simply not the culture within the ANC and government for people to, after even admitting to their wrongdoing, fall on their sword. So, I mean, if Nene doesn't do the honourable thing, in inverted commas, as you're suggesting, where to from there? I mean, we could well see him deliver the midterm budget policy statement and also be there in February ahead of the election delivering the 2019 budget.
I think if Nhlanhla is hanging on the cotton thread, that is clear now. And the only person who can protect him is Cyril Ramaphosa. And I think it will be quite naive of Cyril Ramaphosa to act like other former presidents whom the public felt that they were protecting people who were really no longer honorable to occupy the public seat. And I think it to a certain extent now, is no longer about Nene, is about the president of our country, Cyril Ramaphosa, to prove to the South African that, look, I am different from the others. This so-called new dawn really has got teeth, and this new dawn really is there to serve the interests of the South African. Even Nene, it happened that even by Monday, he's still the Minister of Finance. Trust me, the new dawn is not different from what we've been experiencing before.
So let's have a look at that testimony at the State Capture Commission by the Minister earlier on in the week. It's of course ahead of some more explosive testimony from Pravin Gordhan and Barbara Hogan this coming week. But let's have a look back at Nhlanhla Nene's testimony before the State Capture Commission, where he not only detailed that he did not have any nefarious relationship with the Guptas, but also that when he was Deputy Minister, he did not delve into any deals with the PIC that may or may not have benefited his son.
In my own contact with the Guptas, I did meet the Gupta family, particularly Mr. Ajay Gupta, at a number of occasions, government events. They were regular attendees at government events at that time, but not to discuss government business, because that's generally what normally comes up.
So before we let you go, Mr. Dube, thank you so much for joining us on the Politburo this morning. I mean, how does this not become a political football with only months to go before the election? I mean, in many ways, you could argue that government, the ANC, is damned if they don't and damned if they do, if they act against Nhlanhla Nene. If they don't, well, that's open a season for opposition parties to continue and say that the new dawn is nothing but a false one. If they do end up acting against him, I mean, they're throwing the finance ministry potentially into crisis when South Africa stands in its own very serious economic crisis itself.
Look, South Africa as a whole, look, ANC has dragged South Africa to a sinkhole. ANC is dragging South Africa to a space of immorality and non-ethic space. And I think the issue of elections, South Africa is not about elections. South Africa is a country that needs really to cleanse itself. The issue of elections, I don't think now is a priority to us as South African. The priority to us as South African is to see honorable, in real terms, literal, not figuratively, the honorable people occupying the position. If the ANC is going to try to save itself by giving us people who are not honorable because of the election, or try to have a crisis management by fooling the South Africans. Trust me, the ANC will suffer when it comes to the polls, and so it's very important for the ANC to confront its ills currently before the election. And look, they must tell us those who are corrupt and those who, inverted commas, less corrupt before the election, so that the South African can vote with full information who are they voting for, rather than to be fooled and then post the election and then we find that, look, we are again sinking with the ANC into the den of thieves. And so ANC's got a responsibility right now to come clean to the South Africans, to say, this is our representative that we would like you to vote for, and these are the people whom we think as ANC can take our country forward.
Xolani Dube, thank you so much for giving us some of your Sunday on the Politburo, live from our Durban studios. He's from the Xubera Institute. And of course, reminds me of a statement by Aubrey Mashikli last year, or the year before, at the height of internal conflict within the ANC. At times, we may think that there's strictly good guys and bad guys, but most of the time, there's actually just devils with halos and angels with horns. Now, in the next part of the program, the ink is drying on the agreement signed at this week's Job Summit. Attention now turning to how business, labour and government implement what's been approved as measures to fight unemployment. All three are promising to do what they aren't used to, though. All this after the break.